is Ian. My name is Ian, lead developer of Indiebuild team. Indiebuild team. I'm testing a different setup today. So you might be hearing everything a little bit more. You might be hearing that everything's a little bit more sensitive. And today we're continuing on our series about doing ASMR while I do game development on packing packs. And for this, it's kind of generic. It's not necessarily related to packing packs. It's more about the infamous settings menus that we have in a plethora of games. And well, today is the day that I need to make the widgets for the settings menu. In case you are confused about what the hell is a widget, a button is a widget, a selector is a widget, a slider is a widget. Basically, a widget is an Unreal at least how UI elements are named. So currently I am working on this selector, and the goal is to have something that looks something like this. Of course, I took some, and I know this is a absolute masterpiece. I draw this myself, but yeah, I took some liberties with the end design. So instead of having those dots down here, which would be kind of troublesome to implement, I opted for now to have a x/x, which would be something like if you have five options, then it would show 5 here, and then it would show the actual index of the selection that you have. I think that's just more scalable. I think that Baldur's Gate 3 has something like this. And well, today we're going to keep working on this selector. I don't have a lot of time today before I go to my full-time job. So probably we'll be working only on the selector. But there's also a checkbox boolean button widget that I want to work on, and possibly a scroll box and a tab system for controllers. But that's not for today. For today we're going to keep working on the selector, and as you might be able to see, it is missing the arrows. That indicate a little bit better that you can go right and left. So that's what we're gonna add now. Let's search for image, and then we put this here. And let's search for arrow. I think that we have pragma being the name of the plugin that will contain those options. If you're wondering, Ian, why you're making this from scratch, aren't there plugins or pre-made things that can solve that problem for you? And I say, yes, there's probably plenty of plugins that can do that better than I do, but I rather know exactly how things are implemented. And so doing that myself is kind of the way that I do things. But by all means, usually the best approach would be to properly have a plugin to handle that. In my case, I'm just making my own plugin. Especially because, oops, I wrapped the wrong one. I need to wrap the value, I think. Yeah. Wrap horizontal box. So yeah, in my case, I'm making the plugin myself. But certainly I think that if you can, using pre-made plugins much faster. Sorry about the pause. So this is gonna be the left arrow, and for now I'm not gonna really add any animations into this. I will ask Jaqueta, who is our excellent UI and UX designer, to animate this, because he will probably be able to animate this much better than I can. Besides, this is not the final design for backing packs, it's just a generic design that must be overridden later. Okay. No. Let's see. In game. Okay, so it's looking like this. I think it's pretty easy to know that you can go left and right on this selector. So I'm content. Of course, it would be better. If we had a better way to indicate if you went to right or left. So I might just add like that when you press right, this becomes orange, and then it goes back to white, something like that, something like that. So let's make those two as variables, and let's actually implement the selector. So, sorry, my voice just failed a bit, but yeah, the idea is to actually, let's go to the selector. So the idea is to, let's name this, what type of selector this could be. What type of selector? Well, we can take a look on our GitHub and see which options we want to have for a game, and there's plenty. We could just add a window/full screen option, maybe, or even an anti-aliasing options. I think anti-aliasing options will be okay. But yeah, let's put windowed mode. So the title text right on my side will be windowed mode. Oh, or let's put window settings, and the entries. The first entry will be I don't even think that we need entries by tag, but let's do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna create bon voyage dot settings dot windowed settings, and then let's put windowed, and then another one will be full screen. And I think that's it, right? There's probably window types, Unreal. There's borderless. I don't know how exactly to implement borderless, but I assume it's pretty easy. Let's put borderless. So the first option and default option will be full screen, and then we're gonna have windowed, and then borderless. Okay. And the text for each and every one of them will be full screen. Then windowed, then borderless. Let's see if the default value. Okay, default value is full screen. Of course, I cannot change. And in actuality, I will need to animate those arrows anyway, because they need to be buttons. Because I need to be able to click them. I was just thinking about. I was thinking just about gamepad, but it's quite important. And by the way, maybe you like this type of just have my head on top of the mic because I don't have a pop filter yet. Or any of those fluffy covers that go on top of the mic. But yeah. Okay. So the idea here is that on the selector, these need to be buttons. Therefore, let's create those buttons. They won't really be any sort of special buttons. They won't be flexible like those regular buttons that we have here, in the sense that you can't navigate to them. You can just click them. So I believe that they should be more straightforward to implement. But let's see in practice. Pragma. Oh wait, we already created. I already had created this. So arrow button. This needs to be an Epis widget. Epis is from my plugin Epistyle. I think that's how you pronounce it. It comes from Epistelia, which means architrave, I guess. I just found the name really cool, so I use that name. Okay, so let's but it's gonna be a pretty ad hoc button icon. Okay. Let's maybe put it like this, and then the idea is that it should be clickable. So we go into class defaults, and then we just say that it can receive app style mouse hover, and the input priority will be maybe consumed widget, and the only input that it can receive is from the mouse, which is the click. I think it's click. That's button 9999. I don't think there's focus here. So that's not needed. Okay, and then we have those on-app style mouse hover enter and on-app style mouse hover leave. Again, those are unique from my plugin, but in case you are wondering why exactly I do that, why exactly I created a plugin to handle things that technically Unreal already does, well, I think that you can do both. Sometimes I just use Unreal the way it is, but other times I rather create things myself because I know exactly how they work, what are their flaws and limitations, and where I need to expand and how I can fix them. Because if I don't understand how something works, I just cannot fix it, which is, I say, sometimes even more dangerous, because you can spend like several days or even weeks trying to figure out how something works that you didn't create yourself. And that's how I feel about Unreal's focus system. I hate it personally. I know there's a lot of people that like it. I don't. I find it bad. So I created it myself, even if it's not as robust. I know how it works and it serves my needs. But okay, what I want to do here is set a color and opacity from an interpolate, which will get the current color and opacity. And the target will always be white. So it goes back to the regular color. And the term speed can be probably 10. Why not 10? Okay. then when it's hovered, actually, let's put current color, and the current color will be white. But if you hover, the current color will be kind of yellowish or something. I don't know. And if it leaves, it goes back to white, white. Now, the next step would be technically to register the input. I don't remember if autofocus already does that. Let me take a look. So this is Visual Studio. Let me see if autofocus and mouse hover for setup style mouse focus, and then since the token has mouse focus, and then okay, I don't think I need that. I just need to actually register input to actor maybe, or from actor. I think it's from actor. Yes. We register from player controller, and here we deregister from player controller. Actually, deregister input from actor. Yeah, this is the one. And then the only real input tag that we want is the click. And here on action input, we can check if we receive the click. We are never going to actually consume anything here, but we can check if we receive a click. We won't consume, and if it's a click for now, we're just gonna set what is this boolean? I don't know what's this. We're just gonna set the color for the icon to be orange, like you clicked it. Orange. I don't know if this is gonna work at all. And now we go back here on our selector. We go back into the selector, and we replace the arrow. Let's replace just the right one for now. Replace with, okay. And now we test. Yeah. Okay, looks like if I click it, it's working. Click. But I think the animation might be a little bit too fast. So maybe let's put like 5 or 3 here, I don't know. 3. Okay. It's gonna be a strong orange. Yeah. Okay. And again, this is just a temporary animation. I also want the interrupt speed to be probably 5, I don't know. 5, let's see. It looks more like yellow than anything. Maybe you can see it, but yeah, looking like yellow. But whatever. At least it has some sort of visual indication. I think I'm gonna put 25. And I'm gonna make it kinda dark. Yeah, that's fine. Now we can actually make it work. So we gonna just say on click it. Then we just gonna put the Epis widget that was clicked. The Epis widget that was clicked. Epis widget. pretty straightforward because now the only thing that we really need to do is replace the left arrow. So we're gonna now replace the left arrow and we're gonna rotate it, or just to simplify it, to a -100 scale. Then this mirrors it. Now this is gonna be a variable, and this is gonna be a variable. Yeah, this won't do anything yet, but technically, we can create a new event called offset index, and then we can put integer for the delta or the offset, whatever. I think delta is the cool name. And then we're gonna get current index plus delta. So the current index is going to be equal to current index plus delta. The delta can be -1, +1, etc. And also, very importantly, we need to wrap this around. Wrap. And by wrapping, I mean that if it goes below 0, it goes to the max, and if it goes above max, it goes to the 0, or something like that. Alright, so the max is going to be the amount of entries. So you're gonna get value, or length actually, length, and put this here. And I don't know if min needs to be -1 or whatever, I don't remember now. But okay. So what we need to do is we're gonna check when clicking the right arrow. We're gonna do an offset index by one. And when clicking the left arrow, the left arrow instead of the right arrow, left arrow, we do the opposite, or not the opposite, but we offset the index. However, using the delta of -1, let's see. So windowed borderless, yeah. There seems to be a small issue here. So min, let's say min -1, and length -1 as well. The max one. So okay. So this works, but not really. Yeah, I don't know why, but the wrap is kinda weird. Sometimes it works properly, but at other times it really doesn't. Okay. So the minimum technically is 0, and the max is technically this. That's correct, but main issue is that it's not really. So it should go to 3. You see? It's I rather use my own frap, I guess. My own frap. The max gonna be this. This, and then we just truncate whatever. Fine. The min is 0, the max is this. I don't know if this is gonna work, let's see. No. Okay, maybe the max needs to be this. Yeah, working better than Unreal's function. Maybe I do not understand that wrap function that exists within Unreal, but I don't know. I don't know why it works like that. Why it works like that. So the idea is to make this work with gamepad. We're gonna go into this on-axis input, and we already have some axis tags. This is not gonna be here. It's just gonna be menu navigation X, 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 X. And I believe it will always consume. I mean, unless it doesn't have the tag. But if it has, then it consumes. It consumes, and then does offset. Offset index. It would be good if we could also force this to happen. Maybe we can. If we just turn this into a function. Force click. Because then we also do the animation. So instead of doing the offset ourselves, we're gonna force depending on the axis value. So if it's above zero, we're gonna get. Let's do a selector. I think it's a selector. Actually, it's a select node. Select object. There's another type of selector I'm not finding right now. Maybe. Well, anyway, let's get the left arrow and the right arrow, and then we do a select. If it's above zero, it means that's right. If it's 0 or less, then it's left. Then we are going to the left. And we just first click through, and then we consume. Okay, no, that's hypothetical. Maybe it will work already, but I don't know. Let's test. Oh yeah, it works. That was easier than I expected, to be honest. Okay. I'm just gonna go back into the selector again, selector. And I'll make another selector. Actually, it's the arrow button. And let's put this to 10. Yeah, now you can see better which arrow I picked. Good. Now what we need to do is actually have this selector changed entry called upon offset. So here on offset index, we also call on selector changed entry. And then we're gonna get the newest entry tag from here. From the current index. Here's the current index, and the widget is self. And now within the settings themselves, I can technically change any values that I need. Let's try that theory. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember how to change window settings through Unreal, so let's search Unreal change windowed mode. Let's take a look. After, okay. Run the game with parameters. What if I want to change it in real time? Let's search for blueprint. How to set window mode at screen position. It's set full screen mode. I think that we could probably call this. We could probably call this full screen mode. So it's gonna be full screen mode, I guess. And then what we're gonna do is set this as variable. And when the selector changes the entry, we're gonna just set a correspondent full screen mode. Well, from game user settings. So we need to get game user settings, and then from the user settings we set the full screen mode between full screen, windowed full screen, and windowed. Basically, we can use a switch here potentially. So we switch on gameplay tag, and we kind of switch on or on tags, which are borderless, and then we have full screen, and then we have windowed. Okay, so we got game user settings, and then if it's full screen, we set as full screen. If it's windowed, we set as windowed. And if it's borderless, we set it as windowed full screen. Let's connect this. I think it's very important to also do that. Maybe, well, at some point, we will need to load those settings. But I don't think that this is okay. Let's have something here that's a bit separate, which is load and save settings. This is going to be related to the other issue that's right here, which is add a save system, because we don't have a save system currently. Okay. Now let's test it. Let's print out the current tag. Every time we change the selector, we're gonna print out a current tag. We're gonna print out. Just for testing, and then we'll be basically wrapping up this video for today. Okay, so it's on windowed, it's on borderless, it's on full screen. Seems to be working pretty well, in my opinion. Wait. There seems to be an issue where, for some reason, if I press down, it also changes the selector's value. Okay, so I need to figure out why that is happening. Let's take a look at the supported tags. Yeah, it's because it's also using the slider access tags. Let's put slider dot selector. Although I think that we need to do this through C++. Which sucks a little bit. Which sucks because it takes a little bit of time. But let's do it. We go and we need to search for pragma, then source, then public, then gameplay tags, and we need to put So we're gonna put input dot underscore selector. I don't think we need. Oh, see, I don't think we need mouse only tags. We just need tags and priority tags. And I mistyped it here. Now let's go to this and then duplicate from here and put the priority tag and the tags. So this is going to be the selector dot tags, and this is going to be our selector priority tag. Then we save everything, save everything, save everything, save everything, save everything, and then we recompile. I don't know if I was paused, I don't know when I paused or when I unpaused, to be honest. I apologize, but basically what we just did was adding the gameplay tags inside Pragma, which is my plugin. And from what I know, I think that you can only add gameplay tags inside C++ if you are working with a plugin. Not for your project, but with the plugin, yes. It's the most reliable way that it maintains the tag between projects. Now it recompiled, it's opening up, opening up. And what we need to do is within our selector, we go here on get input receiver supported tags, and we change this to be selector tags. And this is not necessary, to be honest. Not necessary. Nor this actually shouldn't even exist here. So let's remove it. Need this should not be a thing. Let's go back and put tags. And let's link the priority tags in here. Also need to be from the selector. What is this? Pressed. Okay, yeah, unpressed. We won't do anything, to be honest. Door on released. We don't need those. And I think that's it. I think that's it. Let's try again. Yep. Everything seems to be working pretty nicely. Okay, guys. Okay. We just added the selector widget. Let's commit that on GitHub. Added focusable selector. And with that, we just need to commit now on the game. I think that I also modified app style. Graph focusing changes. And yes, I do have two separate plugins. Pragma is more for assets and Epistyle is more for C++ content. Web 78 edit focusable selectors. And that's it, guys. That's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. And see you next time. Bye bye.